Before we get into today's show, I want to give you an inside look at the Chat Sports Studios, because me versus our Cowboys Report host Tom Downey, we were arguing about which running back is going to have a better season this upcoming year. I'm rocking with my guy Saquon. He's, of course, rocking with this guy Zeke. But I want all the real ones out there to break the tie. Let me know what you think. Who's going to have a better year this season? Type 21 for Ezekiel Elliott or 26 for Saquon Barkley. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Give me a follow over on Twitter at @MarshallGreen_. Everybody that follows me from this video, I'll follow you back. What are we talking about in this video? We're going to touch on Saquon Barkley. He had some interesting things to say to the media. And then on the tail end of the show, we'll talk about Kenny Golladay. And he actually looked good at practice. Had the play of the day, a really good catch. We'll break it all down. But Saquon Barkley kind of went off on the media a little bit. He was in a controlled tone because that's what Saquon Barkley is. He's a cool, calm, and collected guy. And he issued some pretty choice words, and you could feel that he was just frustrated because once again, he was asked about dancing in the backfield and the new mindset of Daboll about North and South and the critiques of him being a dancer in the backfield. Kind of a long quote, so stick with me, but I thought it was all interesting. And all Giants fans, I think, should want to hear stuff like this. This is what Saquon Barkley had to say. He said, I know. A thing that's been said about me is he don't know what he's doing. He's just dancing back there. I'm really kind of fed up with what people who've never played the position and try to speak on how I run the football. We call them all pros with clickers in their hands. This is probably the last time I'm going to speak on this. I know people are going to say dancing and this, that, and the third, and he don't get north and south. I'm not just going to run into my lineman's back. That's not how I play the game. It's not how I've been playing since I was 8 years old. I've been playing this position for a very long time. When people try to make it north and south, not coach in particular, but people are trying to use that as an example of if I'm back there like I'm dancing. Dancing is stuff you do in high school football and little league football, where you run this way and you run that way. That's not my thought process. If I'm making a run back in the day and someone breaks free and someone's in my face, I'm not just going to run right at him and try to get back to the line of scrimmage. That's part of my craft. That's part of my game. But like I said with coach, that's kind of the emphasis, meaning like, all right, we want to get more physical, we want to get more downhill, but not saying, oh, you're not hitting north and south. No, you know what I'm saying? I do get what Saquon Barkley's saying for sure. But I think it all comes back to this, that's not really his play style. What got him to being one of the best running backs at the collegiate level was being a guy that got active behind the line of scrimmage and searching for those holes and making guys miss behind the line of scrimmage and getting yards after the line of scrimmage and not always hitting the hole right away. It's kind of the poison that's with Saquon Barkley. Kind of what makes him bad is also what makes him great, because he'll go -3, -1, no gain, and then break off a 25-yard run, but he probably could have had 4 yards on those runs where he had negative yards. He doesn't always take the easy yards. Sometimes he looks for the home run play. But I do like that Brian Dabolls is trying to implement this new style into his game where he has to make that one cut and go, because there's not time with this offensive line and really in the NFL to dance behind the line of scrimmage. But my take on this is that if Saquon Barkley is healthy for the full season, or maybe if he plays more than 13 games, we'll say that. If he plays 14 of the 17 games this season, I truly believe Saquon Barkley is going to have a bounce-back season. And we'll touch on a couple reasons why in a second, but I need your guys' help here. Because at Chat Sports, we have a Giants channel hosted by me and an Eagles channel hosted by my guy Chase Sr. And we had a sub-battle this week. And right now, we're losing, but we're only losing by 7 subscribers. This is the first one to get to 100 subs win, and I want to do that because there's 2 things I hate in this world. It's losing, and it's losing to the damn Philadelphia Eagles. So help me out. I don't want to be that guy walking into the office on Monday holding that L. So if you want daily free videos on the latest Giants news and rumors, game day lives, as well as lives once during the week, hit that big red button for videos every single day. Let's take a deeper dive kind of into what Saquon Barkley has done the past couple of years. hasn't been all too pretty, to be quite honest with you. In 2021, he had a couple of good games, and we'll highlight one in specific in a second. But, he started the season a little bit slow. Then he had a good game against the New Orleans Saints. Then he looked good for a carry or two against the Cowboys. Then he stepped on that defensive back's foot and rolled his ankle. Then he looked good against the Dolphins, but it took him a while to get back to being 100%. And I feel like his game where he got back to 100% and fully trusted himself was against the Chicago Bears, where he had 21 carries, over 100 yards, 5 yards a carry, and had a long run of 10 yards. And I think that's really important to note because most of the times or sometimes when Saquon has a game with a lot of rushing yards, it's with a 35-yard run or a 45-yard run. But in this game, his longest run was 10 yards, which means for the most part, every single one of his carries was a positive rep. He took the yards that were on the table. He didn't really look for more explosive plays. He was a guy that let the game come to him in that game. And I think that's a game that all Giants fans should remember coming into this season. Because when you look at this Giants offensive line and how they've been producing in the preseason and in training camp, they're going to be a good run-blocking offensive line. No doubt. That's probably going to be the focal point of this offense. And Saquon Barkley is going to have to take advantage of those 2 yards and 3-yard runs. Because when you do that as a running back, it keeps the defense honest. And when you keep the defense honest as a running back, it gives you more plays to go and make a deep run or make a breakoff run or a cutback. Because if you're always looking for the cutback run, they're going to be ready for that. They're never going to over pursue. But if you keep running stretch left, stretch right, and you're beating them outside by not cutting it back, they then start to have to over pursue to try to do that. And when you do that, that's when Saquon Barkley cuts one back and he's holding up the deuce going down the sideline. I truly believe with Evan Neal, Andrew Thomas, John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, and when Shane Lemieux gets back, this offensive line is going to be able to move people in the run game, and Saquon Barkley is going to benefit from that. He's also going to be used as a weapon in the pass game, but I want to focus strictly on the run game today. 100 yards this season on the or 1,000 yards. Good job, Petey. If it was 100 yards and it wasn't over, he would be cut by week 5. But 1,000 yards this year for Saquon Barkley. Do you think he does it? He's done it 2 times in his career, but he hasn't done it in 2 years. So I want to hear from you. Type O for over, type U for under. I'm curious what all the real ones think right now. Yes, his best game this past season was against the Bears, where he did tear his ACL. Maybe a little revenge right there. Hopefully he comes as a motivated player this year. I think he will be, and we didn't talk about it, but it's his last year of his current deal. He's going to try to go into free agency and get that bag. He's a smart guy. He's a calculated thinker. He knows this is his last chance. But let's talk about somebody else at practice today. We've talked about him a lot. His name's Kenny Golladay. Dan Duggan at practice. He talked about Wink Martindale. Didn't really blitz a lot at practice. And the Giants had a good day on offense. And a big reason for that was Kenny Golladay. He said there's been a clear emphasis on getting Kenny Golladay more involved this week. And that kind of is what happens when you have a guy that makes $18 million out of position and hasn't lived up to the hype. You're going to do everything you can to get this guy involved. And as honest as I can be, the Giants need Kenny Golladay to be a good football player. Because when you look at this wide receiver depth chart, which we'll do in a little bit, he is the only real guy, I think, outside of Kadarius Toney, who's still only entering his second year of the NFL, has a chance to be that dog on the outside. And in the NFL today, you need that. You need guys to be able to demand double teams. You need guys that on the outside that when a safety is up there in the middle of the field, they're like, oh, I got to cheat 2 steps a little bit this way because I know they're probably throwing it to number 19. And then that opens stuff up for a guy like Kadarius Toney or Wan'Dale Robinson or Colin Johnson or Richie James. And it's not that we haven't seen it from Golladay before. We've seen it, and that's why he got that massive payday. In 2019, he led the NFL in receiving touchdowns. I'm not sure if we'll ever get that Kenny Golladay back. But can we get a guy that catches 70, 60 balls this year, 800, 900 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns? I don't think that's asking for too much. Shit, if you told me last year before the year he did that, I would have probably said that was an underachieving year. But when you're coming off a year where you don't score a touchdown and you average 14 yards per catch with 37 grabs, the bar gets lowered. And I think he should be able to hurdle that this year. He just hasn't shown it. Dropped that ball in the preseason. Hasn't had a lot of great days. He has had 2 good days in training camp, but that's it. Some days, he rarely even gets a couple of catches. Not the biggest impact player, but the Giants, they need number 19 to produce and live up to that 4-year, $78 or $72 million deal, whatever it was. But I want to poll and take the pulse of all Giants fans watching right now. Are you out on Kenny Golladay? What's your confidence level in Kenny Golladay? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 being you're not confident, 10 being you think this guy is going to be the best receiver in the NFL. Let me know in the comments right now. And I want to give a shout out to all of the real ones out there. We've been doing a lot of real one roll calls on this show, and you guys have been answering the bell. So if you made it this far in the video, 1, that makes you a real one. And when you're a real one, you got to comment real one in the comment section. So do that right now, and we'll see you on the next New York Giants Now.